All right, let's talk about our Cleveland Guardians for a second.
Yeah.
Jose Ramirez, guys. I was handed this before the show today. I want to read this because it's very rare when you can say that something hasn't been done in Major League Baseball in 20 years or whatever the heck it was. Jose Ramirez is the 26th player in American League and National League history, which I think would be Major League history, to have 10 doubles, 10 home runs, and 50 ribs in his first 44 games of a
Do we
season.
know the other guys? Is the list there? No.
Well, it hasn't happened since 13 when Miggy did it, Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
So it hasn't happened in 9 years.
Yes.
I think if you would have, and we didn't have this at our, because this was from Baseball Reference,
Yeah.
which I love. He also stole his seventh base of the season last night. I'd be willing to bet if you threw that 7 steals on there, that probably cuts that list from 26 guys down to 3 or 4.
Yeah, certainly Miggy didn't have 7
Miggy
steals.
definitely, and a lot of the guys did.
And let me
And
tell
by
you
the way,
something.
Anthony, I think, told me, or Mike before the show, McNuggets, he leads the league in triples.
Yeah.
He's
Facts.
amazing, okay? Let me tell you something. When we were practicing the week before the show, I believe it was, when we were doing like some test runs here, I said Jose Ramirez is one of the 5 best players in baseball. And when I say 5 best players, there's a hitter's category and a pitcher's category because you can't compare.
Right.
Can I
You
compare
didn't stipulate that at the time.
Well, that's what I meant.
You just said 5 best players.
Yes, okay. I'd still say even with pitchers, but it's impossible to compare pitchers and hitters. And even you guys, even you, Jay, one of the biggest Guardians fans I know.
Yeah, you're right.
Wouldn't accept that.
I
Now-
said top 10.
Yes.
I said top 10.
Now, just because he's off to a great start for 2 months doesn't prove that I'm right. However, what it does prove is that even somebody like you, one of the biggest Guardians fans I know, certainly one of the biggest Guardians fans I know in the media, can underrate this guy. He is the most underrated player in all of the game. It's because he doesn't speak English. I mean, he does speak English, but he doesn't like to speak to the media.
Right.
Not in a bad way, just because he's uncomfortable. All right? It's because he doesn't look like a great athlete. And part of it's because he plays in Cleveland. In the last couple of years, they've been bad, and they're not on national TV. And nobody goes to the games and whatever. But this guy is an all-around great player. And you guys were naming some guys, and you were looking at me as if I was crazy.
If you throw pitchers in, and I do, because pitching is baseball.
I think it's two separate.
not fair.
I still don't have him in my top 5 with pitchers.
That's not
but
fair.
he's a hitter. He is top 5 for sure.
There's no doubt. And by the way, he is, here's one of the things, too, is because some of the guys you guys were naming were like, in fact, one of you guys said, it might have been you, said Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I laughed, and you guys
I
said,
didn't bring
and
him
he's
up.
been awful so far this year.
I mean,
okay? Here's what I'll say about Jose Ramirez. He does it every year. He might not be the best, the number 1 player, but he is in the, at minimum, top 10 every single year. And these other guys, they go in and out. They're great, then they're not. Aaron Judge having a magnificent season. Where's he been the last couple of years? He's been hurt, missed a million games. Ramirez doesn't get hurt. He is always he's got more RBIs than games played in this, I said terrible lineup. I'll say it's a mediocre lineup.
He's got no protection in the lineup.
No protection.
None. And here's what I most love about his game. So I was stunned. I looked this up a couple days ago. I wanted to know why are teams still pitching to him. I looked up how many times he'd been intentionally walked. He hadn't been intentionally walked until last night. Now,
and he was twice.
That's mind-boggling to me, and here's why.
Yeah.
Who's going to hurt you behind him? Nobody. Put him on base.
And let me tell you something else. Jay, he's been unlucky. There's a statistic, you may know this. It's a real baseball nerd statistic. It's called BABIP. Do you know what BABIP is? It's batting average on balls in play. Okay?
Oh, yeah. No,
so
I haven't looked at that number.
It takes away all strikeouts.
Right.
What's your batting average when you actually put the ball in
Well,
play?
he's unlucky because the shift.
He's hitting, his BABIP is 260, which for a hitter that good is absurdly low. So he's been incredibly unlucky when he's put the ball in play.
Well, that's because of the shift, though. He hits a lot of balls into shifts that would be base hits.
Well, they shift for other players.
I know they do, but he is the most predictable player as to where he's going to hit the ball.
But if you look at all the other guys, Aaron Judge, the guys who are having great years, Their BABIP is way over 300.
It does
which means
seem
they're
low
gonna
to
come
me.
back.
It
It's
does
way
seem low.
low. He
But
should be at
Bull,
least at 300.
So back to the intentional
Yeah.
walk thing.
Yeah.
He hadn't been intentionally walking.
Right.
I'm like, why? What are teams doing?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to hurt you behind him. Put him on base.
What you mean? Austin Hedges is behind.
So, yeah, way behind him. So last night, what do the Royals do? First at bat, intentionally walk him.
Yes.
Second at bat, what do they do? Intentionally walk him. This is my favorite part.
Yeah.
His third at bat was in the fourth inning, guys.
Yes.
They decide they're going to pitch to him because now it's 6-2. So what the
Yeah.
hell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the game's it's
right.
over. So they throw him a first pitch fastball. What does he do? Laces it into center field for a hit. But here's my favorite part. You're going to put him on base? You're going to walk him intentionally? Most of the guys that get intentional walks, they're not Jose Ramirez. They're not going to steal second.
That's right.
Jose immediately stole second base. The message being, you're going to put me on. And now in this case, I know we got on with a single.
Yeah.
But the message is, don't intentionally walk me because just like put me on second base.
Yeah.
And he swiped second base on a good throw from a good catcher and was, it was pretty close.
There's
but
no
he,
weakness
but he
in
had
his game.
he does
And
not have
And that's what I
If
like
you-
about him the most.
Go ahead.
That there is no weakness. I mean, the fact that he does it offensively and defensively, because he's a heck of a third baseman. I mean, the guy is
defensively,
yeah.
he's
He's an elite
Incredible.
hitter.
That's what I'm saying.
He's
So,
an elite base runner.
I don't know.
He's an elite base stealer. And I wouldn't say he's elite defensively, but he's very good.
You know what?
Exactly. I ain't say he elite. He's
very-
very
I need
good.
a number five.
Very good.
If we're gonna do a top five, or who in the top, I need to understand the context. If you're gonna say top five, where is he at in the top five? And I need the other four players.
I mean, off the top of my head, are we basing it based
Just
on
on
this
hitter.
year?
Just on hitter. Just on
hit
hitter.
I mean, I would put in no order. I'll just give you the top five. Now, Aaron Judge is having a magnificent season, but I'm not putting him in the top five because he hasn't been consistent enough.
man.
I'm not basing it just on
I'm
this
taking
year.
him.
Okay.
I'm taking it too.
So Mike Trout's going to be on my list.
Okay.
Jose Ramirez is going to be on my list.
Manny Machado?
No Manny Machado. Ronald Acuna is going to be on my list.
Okay.
Did you see what he did yesterday, Acuna?
I did not see yesterday.
Long tossing from the third baseline, threw it into the right field stands.
Yeah.
With
Oh, really?
on a casual throw. I mean, he
really?
didn't wind up and let it go.
That's four.
Yeah.
Into the stands.
Juan Soto.
That's five.
That's
Listen,
five.
that's unfair. That's unfair, G. Bush, and here's why. No.
That's how top fives work.
No, I know, but here's why. In baseball, it's so much different. You'll name a top five,
Yeah.
and then I'll go through and I'll look at some players, and I'll find five guys you didn't name.
Right. Yeah,
it's,
sure.
It's very
But
difficult
it's
to
not
do
just
that.
about this year. To me, to be a top five player, you have to be consistently good for a number of years. If you're saying who are the five best players at the moment, yeah, like who having the five best seasons, Aaron Judge is on my list.
Yeah.
But when I look at part of the reason Jose Ramirez is in my top five is because every year he produces in the hardest sport. Hardest sport. Basketball and football may be more physical, but they're much more predictable. Once a player's great in football, does he ever have a bad season?
Yes.
Sure.
Who? Unless they get
Are you
hurt.
kidding?
I'm about to say, really?
Quarterback.
How about Jarvis Landry? How about OBJ? That happens all the time where guys.
Quarterbacks
do
don't
that.
usually. Once a quarterback
But
is
that's
good,
injuries.
they're always good.
No.
Russell Wilson was not.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's had down years. Look, guys have up years, down years.
I'm about to say,
Nobody
no,
finds a
don't do
plateau and
that.
stays there except for
We
Tom
talked
Brady.
before
Yeah,
about
Tom
saying,
Brady and Aaron Rodgers
We talked
is
about
over.
before about saying never. You shouldn't say never.
Right, right.
But there's much more consistency of high-level play
Yes,
in
I agree.
football and basketball.
I agree.
Basketball,
I
certainly.
agree. I agree with that.
Right? Than there is in baseball.
You know what's funny,
Cody
though?
Bellinger was the rookie of the year. Then he was like second for MVP. He's been awful for 3 years since then.
He coming back.
Bull.
He's been okay.
I think the reason for that is people sometimes lose sight of one thing in baseball. On a hitter, what's the first thing you look for? What's the first stat you look for? I know you're different because you're an inside baseball
batting
guy.
average?
Average or
batting
home
average.
run?
I
I
think
don't
your
even look at
average
batting
fan
average
wants to know
anymore.
what are
Yeah.
you hitting.
Right.
Do this math for a second. If I say you're a 230 hitter, instantly you say,
That's all right.
it's a utility guy. He's not going to change your
Yeah,
life.
that's all right.
But now if I say he's a 300 hitter, you say, okay, here's what that means, guys. That's the difference between 23% and 30%.
Yeah. It's not.
It's
that-
not.
that-
It's
that-
the difference between being an everyday average guy,
Yeah.
not Austin Hedges, because he's hitting 157.
Right.
But the
He's a-
difference
he a
between
hero. Y'all gonna
yeah,
stop
I mean,
that.
you got to hit your weight before you get
It's
into
so
the
funny because
conversation.
as a kid, all I looked at was batting average. Now
I did too.
I don't
I
even
did
look
too,
at
and
batting
now
average
I
anymore.
look at it, but
I look at OPS.
there's a big picture that you have to look
Yeah,
at.
yes.
But to me, I think I can bring your point home this way. If you had today a Major League Baseball draft where every single player is available, and you have to take everything into account.
All right.
Age, position, and here's the kicker. Salary, he's the first guy off my board.
Absolutely.
I take him over.
Wouldn't go
Not,
first.
Yes, he
not
would.
pitchers.
Not
pitchers.
Well, but not because if you're factoring in age, he wouldn't go
30?
first.
But here's
What,
why.
29, 30?
Here's why he's my first guy.
How old
Yeah.
is he?
Because you can't find another superstar in his class. The Trouts, all the other names you mentioned.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to be $40 million a year guys. $35 to $40 million a year.
Right. Well, Soto right now is not making.
No,
a ton of
because
money,
he's on his first
Yeah,
deal,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he's going to.
Right.
And you're going to have to pay that.
That's true.
With Jose, you know you've got a guy that wants to be here. Number one, that's hugely important to me.
Yeah.
Number two, he's done 2 team-friendly contracts. I can't find another baseball superstar that's ever given anybody one. He's now given 2 team-friendly contracts. This second one probably cost him ballpark over the length of the contract. Probably cost him $75 to $100 million.
He's cost himself $200 million between the two.
Over both of them.
Over both.
But this most recent one, probably $75
At
to
least.
$100 million that he left on the table. Why? Because he wants to be here. I want that guy.
That's true.
And I'll make him my first pick
Yeah.
over any other player right now.
I think Soto and Acuna would probably go 1 and 2
'Cause they're young.
Probably Tatis as well.
I'm about
he's
to
really
say
young,
Tatis. That's my
But
boy.
yeah,
I like
Jose,
that.
of the players 28 and older, he'd go first. No
And
doubt.
the reason I want him going first, hustle, team chemistry. He's just the top step of the dugout
nothing.
guy.
He's what you want your franchise.
Yes.
Your ideal
100%.
franchise guy
Yeah,
is
100%.
exactly
Ideally,
who he
you'd
is.
have him, smile like Frankie Lindor and interact with the fans and the media like Frankie Lindor,
Yeah.
who, by the way, was the National League Player of the Week last
Right.
week, and Jose was the American
And
League
people
Player of the
stop
Week.
killing Lindor.
He's
I
coming
don't know why
around.
People got to hate Lindor.
I don't hate him.
I don't hate him.
I'm glad we didn't re-sign him. It would have paralyzed this franchise for 10 years.
Well,
No.
I don't. I didn't.
that's
I
30 they
mean,
refused to spend.
Yeah.
$35 million on
They could
one
have
player
afforded it.
when our team payroll is $50
We've
million.
conned ourselves into believing they can't afford to spend a certain